And to you, child, if I should pass away, all of my secrets are on Rocco. Crikey. Hey everybody, this is Michael Sparks. Welcome to another episode of the Sparklepony Roundup. I probably look and sound like crap, but I've been fighting a cold for about 2 or 3 weeks now. That's why I didn't get an episode out last week. Apologize about that, but not much I can do. So I looked and sounded even worse than I do now. I also apologize up front because this is probably going to be a jump cut heavy episode as I try to keep most of my phlegm out of the video. Coughing and sneezing going on. But I wanted to talk to everybody today. I don't sound quite as enthusiastic as I usually do, but I wanted to talk to everybody today about something that's really important to me. I wanted to do a video about this on the actual day, but just things didn't line up. My guild turned 3 years old this month, and that's pretty awesome. Prior to Anthem, I had never been in a guild that lasted anywhere near this long. I was in so many guilds in Burning Crusade and Wrath up until the point where the core of Anthem was formed. Going back to Rising Phoenix, it's actually been more than 3 years for some of our core, but it's pretty monumentous to me. And even though we did take a break during Throne of Thunder, we were all still together, and it's really something to me. And so I thought I'd talk to you all today about being a guild master and what that's meant to me over the past 3 years. Now, when this whole thing began, I didn't want to be guild master. I didn't really want to do anything except raid. There were some problems in our prior guild, which I won't go into detail in depth because I don't want to talk smack about anybody, and I don't want to waste everybody's time detailing all the drama that went down, but basically there was a shift in power in the guild because Poot had gotten a job that didn't let him really be guildmaster anymore. He didn't have the time, and it didn't go well. The new GM didn't really understand the way the guild had been run, and the way he ran things did not mesh well at all, and it became less about the guild and more about killing bosses at any cost and gearing up people that he felt needed to be geared up. And he made a few unpopular officer choices, and a fight with one of those officers is what eventually just ended up setting everything off. A lot of people were kicked for no reason, a lot of other people quit, and we were sitting there trying to figure out together what we were going to do because we were all in Ventrilo together, because he couldn't do anything to us in Ventrilo. Whoever it was, they couldn't get to us in Vent. The Vent was Poots. They were not admins. We could do whatever we wanted in there. It was a safe place. And Greed is our monk, Big Hoss. at the time was an amazing rogue, even better than mine, named Greedo, basically said, I'm going where Sag's going. Sag was me. And I didn't know where I was going. I honestly thought I would take some time off because I wasn't in the best living situation as it was, and I'd only really come back for about a game card's worth of time, so I could tell people that I was okay and everything was cool because I just had to emergency move from Nevada to Washington, and I had a lot of friends in the game. A lot of them expressed a lot of concern when I left, so I wanted to come back and be like, hey, oh, I'm okay, I'm at home, you know? And I already apologize. This episode's probably going to be a very meandering one, and my voice is already getting to me. So if you want to cut out, you can go ahead. This is all. This is a personal video, more of a vlog than it is a typical Sparklepony. Anyway, Agreed said he was going where I was going. I had honestly just been planning to park my tunes in my bank guild and take some time off. And that's what I told him. I was like, well, I was just going to park my tunes in my bank guild. And he was like, all right, well, can we park there too? So, oh, okay. I need somebody's help to invite them anyway, so I went over to my little baby priest that my bank guild was on, and we got everybody piled in there, made Greed an officer so I could invite my tunes, and that bank guild happened to be named Anthem. And, you know, I can't say it's been all, you know, milk and honey, peaches and cream, whatever, since we formed up. We've had some things that didn't go well, some things I regret. Um, I had a situation with a couple of healers that were long friends of mine that I don't speak to anymore because of bad guild management, and I feel bad about that. Um, I had some cases where I put some people in some officer spots that they should not have been in, but you know, that's the thing. I mean, you're only as good as you can be. And I've done my best to try and be good to my guild, and I've done my best to always be fair to my guild. And sometimes those decisions pay off, you know. Having guys like Inukami around was amazing. They left for reasons that had nothing to do with the guild. Miss them, wish they'd come back. Same with 10 speed. Geo, you have no idea how much we miss having you around. But other people, you know, sometimes you just have to nip it in the bud. Those are things that you can't really plan for. Those are things that you can't really avoid, you know. Some people get better jobs. Some people just get burned out on the game. Other people have personal issues with other people that they played the game with. There are a plethora of reasons that have nothing to do with the guild or the guild management, and they move on. And we miss those people. We wish them the best, but they just Warcraft doesn't suit their lifestyle at this point. To me, a guild, it's a team, but it's also a family. You know, you have to make decisions based on what is best for your situation and your ability to play together, be it raiding, be it PvP, be it challenge modes, whatever your dungeon's set upon, whatever your guild is set upon. But at the same time, you have all these personal relationships that you've formed over the time that you've played together, and you have to take those into account too. Say you've got a druid who was a great healer last tier, but they're having a lot of problems this tier, and you know that you're not going to be able to keep bringing them to the progression, but you still want them to feel part of the team. You don't want to lose them. You got to figure out the best way to maybe bump them down to your flex nights, or maybe put them in the 10-man farm team, or whatever you run as alternate content. You have to make sure that person is still able to play and still able to feel useful and still able to feel part of the team. I've had to do things like this so many times, and I admit, I don't always handle them the best that I can. When I first started out, I really botched it bad because I didn't know how to tell somebody that they weren't holding up to par without hurting their feelings, and in the long run it ended up being much worse than it should have been. Nowadays, if somebody's having an issue, I'm right there. I'm like, hey, what can I do? What can we do? And it's a lot better. And that's what comes with having done this for 3 years now. I'm still learning every day things that I can do better, things that maybe I should have done differently. But that's the process. That's the thing. That's the commitment. That's what we do as GMs. We're always figuring out what we can do better for our guild. And the same goes for officers. I mean, you got to have a good officer corps. You got to have a good backbone behind you. And I can honestly say there have been a couple points where if it weren't for our officers, we probably would have fallen apart. Especially Poot. Dave, you're amazing. I know you don't get a lot of the credit that you deserved because you don't get to raid with us a whole lot, so people kind of forget you're there, but you've done so much for this guild. You're so awesome. Greed, you've been like the glue the whole time. You're the reason that Anthem came together to be like this in the first place when Rising Phoenix bit the dust. And once again, you're not always around all of the time because of your crazy weird schedule where you're on the road and then you're not on the road and then you're on the road, but you're always there when we need you. And I just want to take the time to thank you both so much. Zai, you drive us nuts, but nobody else is willing to sit there and sift through a lot of the crap that you sift through to figure out things for the raids, even when they don't work. And Dead, you've stepped up so much in the last year. Like, everybody already tells you how much you've done, but I want to take the time here in the video to be Dead, you're awesome. It's a very different guild than we started out with, and in a lot of ways it's sad, but in a lot of ways it's amazing, because honestly the team that we started with, we would not be 13 or 14 right now. And I know the goal is to get into heroics. It's always the goal. We've never been a hardcore prog guild. We've always been the casual guild. I mean, we only raid 6 hours a week. So for us to be at Garrosh, especially having started, a month and a half, 2 months later than everybody else, is fantastic for me. I think a lot of other people are really, really happy with where we are right now. And if we work at it, I'm pretty sure he'll drop dead this week and we'll be in heroics where we should be. I'm throwing out a lot of ums this episode. Like I said, it's not just a team, it's a family, and I've always tried to be there for my guildies. I've always tried to be available, even outside a game. A lot of guys have my number, they have my Facebook, they have my Twitter. They have ways to get a hold of me, and that's not so weird these days. When I first started, that was almost unspeakable. Like back in Burning Crusade, oh, contact outside a game. But now with the way the internet has changed, social media, and even just like the real IDs that tell you people's names, I kind of prefer the battle tag because the wrong names on my account. Um, I've talked to Blizzard. They at some point we're gonna fix it, but it's really weird for them to add me and be like, "Who the fuck is Ryan?" Oh, doing a battle tag's a little easier, less to explain. Um, for those that are uninitiated, my account was bought as a gift. I had been living with my roommate that really encouraged me to start playing, and they paid for my initial box and first month, maybe 2 months, as a gift, and we didn't understand what names were supposed to go where, so my old roommate's name is on my account. So that's why I don't use the real ID. Anyway, that was a side story. Um, anyway, starting to go off into some tangents there. Not 100%. But, what I was saying is, with the way the internet's changed and just my own personal policies that I've always had, you know, I always try to be there and be available for my guildies, and they've been there for me for a lot of stuff. And I can't tell you how much, like, I'll always appreciate Anthem and how much these guys mean to me because, they stuck by me through some things that I couldn't even get real life friends to stick through. I'm getting a little bit sniffly and I'm not sure it's all the cold. You know, they were there for me when I had to move home. They were there for me when the stuff with Merc and Ray went down. They were there for me when terrible things happened. And without them, I don't know if I would have made it through some of those things. And that's why I always try to be the best GM I can be. That's why I always do things that no other GM does. I mean, without sounding in any way like I'm special or anything, because I'm not. I'm really not. I mean, right now I'm playing a very par rogue. Um, I was stoked that in Throne of Thunder I was actually getting up there in the world ranks, but I'm not getting anywhere close to it in Siege. But, I'll always be there for you guys, and I'm very happy that you guys are usually there for me. You guys are always there for me in some capacity. And, oh hey, it's another jump cut. Imagine that. Yeah. Running a successful guild, you've got to be available, you've got to be fair, you have to be fair, but at the same time you have to be considerate of what you need to do to get that next kill. You have to consider what you've got to do to clear out the raid instance or win that next arena match, or you've always got to keep in mind what's best for the team, but what's not going to completely isolate some person unless that person needs to be isolated. And sometimes you do. Sometimes you just have to say, to hell with this guy, but there are a lot of things to consider when you do that. You have to consider not only their performance, but you got to consider their attitude. You got to consider their effect on morale. A lot of guilds just totally up and kick people because, oh, this person's not useful, or they kick them because there's a little bit of drama. But you always got to sit there and you got to consider, are they the ones instigating the drama? Is somebody else maybe the cause of this, because you might have more than one person to look at for getting rid of, or you might be able to step in the middle of it, nip the drama in the bud. There's so much to think about. You can't just willy-nilly kick people, and the guilds that do that, and some of them work out because they just never keep anybody there to be toxic. To my knowledge, 3-day ban over on Velen always kind of ran that way, and they were top of server when we left. I think they're still together and still doing pretty well. Happy for them, but it's just not a guild model I could ever run. So I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad way to run a guild. I just don't think that when you have the family environment that a lot of guilds have, it's an effective way to handle things. I apologize if I'm going in circles here, because the hamster is not moving so well. I think I've already established that a couple times. But you have to be fair. You have to be progression-minded. You have to make sure your raiders are happy. You have to keep morale up. That's something that I think we've always done pretty well with, minus a little stint in Firelands, but we ended up... That wasn't so much of a guild issue as it just was Velen was dying. And that's what was the ooh, I talk good. That's what made the executive decision to move to another server. And ever since we arrived on Terralion, we've been trudging through pretty steady. We've been very happy. Took some time off in Throne of Thunder because we had too many people dealing with too many personal issues. But we're back now. We're doing fantastic in Siege, in my opinion. And it's because of the way that we run things. And I'm not going to take sole credit for that. Like I said, my officers are a huge part of that. The new officers even, like Seraphina has been great. I know she's nipped a few things in the bud when I haven't been around. Mist is always there when I'm too angry to talk to somebody to talk to them for me. He's not been around a whole lot. He's not even an officer, but Winston, Tim Shell, he's been great. Just bringing people in from where we came from when we reconverged. And these people have all been fantastic, and I hope they stay, and I hope that they continue to be fantastic. Because a guild is only as good as its members. And when I say that, I don't just mean in playstyle. Granted, I think we have some amazing people in the guild. We have some people that could be in some much higher tiered guilds that stay with us because of that family that we have formed. But it's also because of the personalities and the way those personalities mesh and the way that we have learned to play together. When I'm tanking with Zai, I know the next thing he's going to do, and I know when to pull from him because he's about to die. He knows the mechanics that I might need a nudge to deal with because I'm not the greatest tank in the world. It's why I'm not tanking progression. And the same goes with our 2 progression tanks. I mean, they've been working together now for a couple of tiers, and they know when the other one's going to do a certain thing, and sometimes they got to nudge each other, but they know when to nudge and when to leave it alone. And those are the kinds of things that you don't learn when you're just continually cycling players out because, oh, this guy was pouty one day, kick. That's not the way to run a guild. There was a point to this that I lost somewhere, and I think it's just basically become I really love my guild video. And, that's kind of okay with me because, like I said, we turned 3 years old this month. I've never been in a guild more than probably 6 months until I hit Anthem. We've been in this thing 3 years. That is, like, beyond fantastic to me. And I know there are guilds that have been out there longer. I know there are guilds that have been out there just as long. But to hit that milestone, like, that's incredible to me. I'm going to finish this episode up and probably shoot another so I make sure I have one for next week. But if there's anything that you at home or at work or wherever you're watching this, if there's anything that you would like to see me talk about, be it something to do with guild management, be it something to do with Warlords of Draenor coming up, something to do with what they can do right now because people are dropping subs crazy in mists because we're burnt out. If there's anything you want to hear me talk about, you can get a hold of me either at twitter.com/ponyzord, or you can leave a comment at facebook.com/raidanthem, or you can go to the website and leave a comment below in the video, or even a post on the forums. That's I talk good. I think I already did that once this episode. Or you can go to raidanthem.net and leave a comment on the video, or message me on the forums. My name is Baranka. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off because I think it's already gone quite a bit longer than a usual episode. See you next week.